Hello and welcome. You're watching this video because chances are that we are representing a buyer who's looking to acquire your company. You're already under LOI, the transaction's in full swing. And I wanted to take a minute to introduce you to the Buy and Build Advisor team. And number one, to let you know, wow, you're lucky, you're in great hands because there's so many people out there that go into a transaction with potentially an unsophisticated buyer that doesn't have the right advisement team behind them. And that could lead to a terrible, terrible set of events that ends up really hurting you more than anybody else. So the fact that you're watching this video, the buyer that you're working with is hired Buy and Build Advisors. You are in safe hands. So David, tell us a little bit about, from the seller's point of view, what do we need them to know about Buy and Build Advisors, the process, and kind of what you do and who you are?
Sure, sure. Well, let me start out by just introducing you to my two partners. So my name's David Geralt, and I head up the legal and financial structuring side of the Buy and Build Advisors team. I'm joined here today by Andrew Lamb, who heads up the operational and communication strategy transition part of the team, and by Brittany Farrell, who is one of our leaders in the financial team. Another partner that we have on the financial side is a fellow by the name of Jeremy Bronson, who couldn't join us today. And you'll be seeing all of our faces through this process because we take an active role as the senior partners and founders in the business in every aspect of the transaction, along with multiple other members of our team. We have I think upwards of about 15 people total on our team that'll be working on your transaction. And we're here, as Chris so eloquently said as he introduced us all. And Chris is one of our partners as well. He's just not actively involved in the day-to-day of our business. But we are here to make sure that this transaction is successful. I will be honest, it may not seem that way every single day. There will be days where we're all kind of stressed out. There will be days when you're going, why did I even do this? But at the end of the day, you've made the decision to transition the baby that you have built that is your business to a safe pair of hands and the new buyer that's our client. And we want to make sure that that transition goes as smoothly as possible. So there'll be a process that we're going through very soon after you watching this video. Someone from our team or the buyer will be reaching out to schedule an onboarding video, and we'll meet you in person on that video, on that Zoom call or Teams call, whatever mechanism we use, along with your broker if you have one. And we'll lay out the specifics of the process. But we wanted to introduce you at a high level to some of the things we use. Number one, we have a state-of-the-art deal management software system that we have implemented. It's the same system that Fortune 100 companies use for their mergers and acquisitions. It's the ultimate in data security and safety and in deal management. So you'll be seeing the use of that system. There's another video that you'll be able to watch if you have some concerns about data security, where Andrew actually goes into a little bit of the detail about that. But we'll be using that platform. So the good news is, if you've ever been through a transaction like this before, or maybe your broker or your advisor has warned you that you're going to get this really long list that's probably an Excel spreadsheet, and you're going to have to go hunt down a bunch of papers, and then you're going to have to maybe gather them up and make copies or send them to someone or scan them, and it's going to be really a daunting task. So the good news is this tool that we use, the Deal Room software, has turned that all into really just a giant checklist. So we'll introduce you to how to log into that software, and there'll be just a simple request: share your organizational documents of your business, like your articles of organization or incorporation. Upload them here. And that's basically it. And you'll just go step by step through that. It really facilitates the process. Once we do that, we may have a few more questions for you. Due diligence is not a one and done process. We have to gather the information. We have to analyze it. And then based on that analysis, we'll have further questions for you. So we appreciate your patience in advance when it feels like we're nagging on and on and on. We're just trying to make sure, because our job as the representative of the buyers is to make sure that everything that they believe they're getting in the business can be validated and confirmed. It's not because we don't trust you. And I think that's an important thing to say. I've dealt with that both with clients getting financing and with sellers. This isn't an indication that we don't believe what you say. But it's as back, and I'm dating myself here, but back in the 1980s when President Reagan was negotiating with Mikhail Gorbachev over the nuclear arms reduction, Reagan used an English translation of a Russian phrase that basically said "trust but verify." And that's what our job is as the due diligence team and as the transaction team, is to take the information you have and then make sure we can validate that information, verify that information for our client, so that everybody can go forward with the transaction, and we can minimize the risk for both buyer and seller. Because if we've been able to validate that information, then it actually reduces the risk of representations and warranties that the seller has to make.
Interesting stat, 90% of people who end up selling their business are selling a business for the first time. And part of working with buy and build advisors is adding a level of extreme organization and structure to the transaction that's not going to be there when there's not a proper advisement team in place, right? Someone who said, yes, I'll be your Sherpa guide, and I'm going to take you through every single step. I'm going to help you avoid the pitfalls. And this is not just for the buyer, but also for the seller, because everyone's going after the same exact result, which is a fair, executed transaction where everyone gets to walk away excited. Everyone got what they wanted out of it. So I think in some ways, as much as you are hired by the buyer, you're also working for the entire transaction. So I think it's important to note that. And imagine going into for the first time, going into a transaction. It's kind of a very scary thing. So being able to have all the lights on, everything's in full visibility, full transparency, and there's actually a clear path. There's an actual map to follow, a blueprint, has got to give you a lot of confidence and assurance in this process.
And I think one of the things we're trying to do as well is to make it as easy as possible. Yes, you're going to have to dig out information. You're going to have to bring out files and things like that. But as we start to go down this process, I mean, again, it's not our first rodeo. We've learned a number of techniques in which to make this easier for you so that you can gather the information that you need. So, for example, as we start to look for knowledge, right, how do we extract the knowledge from yourself about the operation? How do we get that from your head? Because a lot of you are going to actually have the business in your brains as well. So we've got to extract that out. And no, we're not going to do it like the alien trick, sticking our fingers in your ear. But we're actually going to extract that information and make that easy for you, right? We don't want you to be writing hundreds of pages of documents. So we want to do that. And then the other thing is we want to also make sure that as you're exiting the business, do you have the right plans to move forward, right? So making sure that as you start to go and make the exit, right, let's look at the human side. Let's look at, you exiting. What is that timetable? When do you want to, get out onto the beach or get out onto the boat, so that you can go and enjoy your life after the business, right? Or do you want to stay in the business for a little bit longer as an advisor? What does that all mean? So these are the things that we're going to be talking to you about to make sure that you're comfortable and make sure that you've got your plans as we move through this. And as we said, we've got a roadmap so that we can track this as it goes through so that you're comfortable with it as well as the buyer. And then we've got an end goal that we can all execute on. And then when it's time for you to move to the next episode, that you can move with ease, as well as making sure your team can move on with ease as well. Because we all know that many of you are very, very supportive and cognizant of your team, what's going to happen to the team. We want to make sure that they're looked after as well as we move forward.
I was going to say, this is your legacy. I mean, the idea of just leaving it to chance doesn't make a lot of sense. I mean, we want the buyer to be as successful as possible. And these transition items like you're discussing right now is a big part of that, and making sure not only your team's protected, but also your customers and the legacy that you have set in this business so it can live on forever. So yeah, just really think you made a good decision. You luckily, I guess, made a good decision. Your buyer hired us at Buy and Build Advisors to represent the entire transaction. And for that, we're glad to be a part of this journey.
Absolutely. We look forward to meeting you in person very soon, or via Zoom in person, I guess, and to moving this transaction through to a successful conclusion.